A question that a founder posted in the community advance and wanted me to ask. And it's around increasing frequency as far as like on purchases. And are there any maybe specific ways or that you've been able to do this or maybe even kind of tips for others on how to think about helping increase frequency?
I do think frequency is a little bit inherent to the category, right? Like, you're only going to travel so many times a year, right? So it's really hard for Airbnb. I mean, maybe they can move the needle a little bit. Like if you're ordering food, right? You can maybe you can move the needle a little bit more or with Ubers, but in sports, we're probably somewhere in the middle, right? Where we think about it more of share of wallet, right? So like, you can only purchase baseball bats so many times a year, although some people will buy a lot more than you expect. The so like we want to make sure that we have a great experience. You can find good deals here, and if you're thinking about buying a baseball bat, it's here. Then we want you to know, like, okay, you need a glove, you need cleats, like, hey, that's all here too. But then, like, we're also trying to be intentional about, okay, what is baseball players, and like now it's getting more personalized, like what are baseball players in certain geos, like what is this profile of customer also likely to buy? How do we then surface that to them? And so I think it's enabling discovery across a broader range of categories and getting them to think of you for more things more frequently. So I think expanding share of wallet to more sports, and being smart about that, understanding like, okay, you just bought a hockey stick. What's the next most likely thing you're going to buy? Obviously, like there's both the skates and gloves, but there's also tape and laces. And so like merchandising checkout with high frequency purchases is another one. I'd say like those are the two main things. And I think you have to do that throughout the shopping journey. You can't like wait till after and be like, hey, by the way, like we also sell all this stuff. They should like see it naturally through the experience so that way you're planting the seed for them when they come back and then you hammer it home with email, push, and other marketing. But it's hard. Like I think it's as much as I'd like to say we've like really moved the needle on that. I think it's more incremental improvements. It's hard to go from like two purchases a year to 30 purchases a year. Like that just might not be possible in your category. I think that's where you have to make sure in the beginning your expectations are correct of like what is the purchase frequency in this category? What's the AOV and what's my take rate? And like you kind of have to make sure that given that frequency, given that AOV, and given your take rate, how big can your business get? You got to make sure like your take rate is appropriate for that. Because I think sometimes if your AOV is too low and your take rate's too low, the purchase frequency is not high enough, it just gets really challenging to build like a good LTV to CAC ratio that you can scale on. So yeah, it's a tricky one, but those are some of the ways we've thought about it.